All right, Rob Browne here with you. We are live at SEC Media Days in Dallas from the Omni downtown. First day SEC Media Days is wrapped up. I'm joined by a couple of esteemed colleagues who are regulars on the show. Ken Capps, Football Writers Association of America, is with us, and Bo Carter will be on in a minute. Football Writers, National Football Foundation, Baseball Writers of America, and our intern, Oakley McFerrin. Brenden Martin, our executive producer. From the beginning this morning, we've been up since about 6, nonstop activity. Commissioner Sankey, Ken, started off this morning. I thought that state of the conference address was really good. But what were your takeaways from that? Welcoming OU and Texas in the league. You know Texas, you know OU really well. We're one big happy family, aren't we?
Well, it's still going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
For Texas and Oklahoma. Yeah. But, I think it was Lane Kiffin who brought up, and you could probably tell the story better than me, but about talking about how people at SEC games all get underneath the same tent, you have a Florida tent with like Mississippi people and Alabama people and all that when you go to games.
Yep.
That won't happen with Texas and Oklahoma and A&M. Okay. They won't be under the same tent.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they really, really don't like each other.
Yeah.
So as much as there was kind of a kumbaya feeling this morning with the commissioner, I just thought, I don't see anybody getting underneath the same tent, especially right now, because Texas, once again, joining a new league, Texas is already picked to either win the league or be in the top 4 at least. Yeah. And I mean, those are very, very high expectations. And then you've got Oklahoma, who is not as good on paper as Texas, but like it happens every year, Rob, it all boils down to what happens down the street here at second week of October at the Texas OU game. So anything can happen there. So I thought Sankey gave a great speech, and all these Olympians that are going from the SEC. I think there's 27 going from Texas alone.
263 from the SEC.
Yeah. So, it'll be interested to see how when Texas and Oklahoma start playing those big night games, in the SEC too, because again, somebody that grew up in Austin and went to Texas games, Texas fans don't get that wild and crazy, okay, except in Dallas, but the last 2 games that I've seen at home where Texas fans have just gone crazy on a night game, where is when Texas played LSU, Joe Burrow, and then USC. Yeah. And but of course those are just different games. That's just another day in the SEC or another night in the SEC.
Yeah, it is.
So Texas fans are going to have to, in my opinion, bring it when these night games come to Austin.
Well, I mean, just you talk about everybody getting along in the SEC. It's a family. You'll see an SEC team winning another national championship. You pick the sport. And over in the corner, the fans will be saying SEC, SEC. Oklahoma and Texas. Here's another question. People actually asking, why are we in Dallas to Commissioner Sankey? Are they a good fit? That, in my opinion, that's a crazy question. No question's a dumb question. You got to ask it. But the contiguous footprint of the SEC goes out into Texas and Oklahoma. Their fans are as crazy and as rabid as you can find anywhere. So let's go back to what you said about Texas at night. I've been to games at DKR Memorial Stadium at night. Seen them play Auburn. I've seen them play some games. The crowd was great. What I remember is it's really windy and
hot.
It's really hot. But let's
Even
talk
in
about
October. It's hot.
Yeah, and so, but you look at the games that the Texas fans have got to learn how to get jacked up for the night football. 102,000 capacity. I just think it's going to happen naturally. I mean, you look at. Let's talk about that home schedule for the Horns this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, Texas has 7 home games.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Texas OU game.
Yeah.
So that's 8.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a home game.
Yeah.
But it's still played, it's still considered
neutral. It's actually a neutral game.
Neutral
game.
Yeah. But, so that's crazy. But we play Florida
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Georgia at home. Okay.
God.
I think Texas also plays Kentucky.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to think of who Texas plays on the road. I know the first 4 games that Texas plays are all at home.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're, Colorado State, UTSA, the non-conference games.
Yeah.
But, August 31st, this is what is so crazy. We're talking about day versus night. You're right. What you said earlier about Texas sometimes plays a lot of 11 o'clock games.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't give time, people, tailgaters time to really get warmed up, and so they complain a lot about that. But then at 2:30, scheduled the game versus Colorado State on August 31st, my birthday, if anybody wants to remember that.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday already. That's a great birthday present for me.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 2:30 in the afternoon.
Ooh.
That's going to be way over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And people still show up.
Oh,
Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But God, if that was a 6 o'clock game, that would just be perfect.
Yeah.
Or even 7:30, or however the new schedule is going to be. Because that's going to be something Texas is going to have to get used to, especially playing on the road.
Yeah. Exactly.
Same thing with Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma. Gosh, Alabama comes to Oklahoma this year.
Yeah, that's right.
And they haven't set a time for that yet. But you got to think that's got to be a 6.
Yeah. Well, you think about the timing of Alabama going to Norman this year.
Mm-hmm.
The next week they go back to Tuscaloosa to host Auburn.
Right.
And that you talk about rivalries, that Alabama Texas is a great rival game. And now Alabama Oklahoma. Everybody remembers the Sugar Bowl in 2013 when Oklahoma took the Alabama to the woodshed. It was a beating in the Sugar Bowl. I think what we're going to see this year is every weekend so many good games.
Right.
But people are still going to want to go to the games. Those tailgate tents have all got 2 or 3 flat screens in there. So people aren't going to miss them. All right, let's start breaking down. After Commissioner Sankey's speech this morning, you broke it down. You first had Brian Kelly and LSU coming out there. Something pretty interesting. He's got 7 consecutive seasons of 10-plus wins. The only other coach who had done that was Nick Saban, going back with 16 straight years of 10-plus wins. After his first year in 2007, they went 7-6. So now here he is. He's going to end up with more wins than Nick Saban, but he doesn't have the championships. He doesn't even have a national championship yet.
Right.
But let's talk real quick about the first team LSU today. They don't have Jaden Daniels. They get Garrett Nussmeier. But they got Bo Davis, the defensive line coach, who left Texas.
Right.
Texas is going to feel that, and LSU is going to love it. And they got Kevin Peoples coming as well from Missouri.
Well, they've already felt the Bo Davis departure because several recruits that Bo Davis recruited to Texas have hightailed it now to Baton Rouge.
Okay.
But what I thought was very interesting is what Brian Kelly said was here they had the number 1 offense in the country last year.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough to win the SEC.
Yeah.
And his big deal was focusing on getting a stronger defense and more depth on the defense.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very interesting because, you'd think it's the same thing with Texas. I mean, Texas, Oklahoma, they both score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times they don't play that great a defense.
Yeah. And in the Big 12, you have you don't have the defensive interior linemen. You've got edge rushers. And Texas, when it was announced 3 years ago, in July of 21 at the Winfrey and Hoover, that OU and Texas had inquired about membership in the SEC. And I said to people around me, I said, it's a done deal. They wouldn't have brought that up.
Right.
But they're building, and they look better equipped compared to Oklahoma at this moment coming into the SEC.
At this moment.
Yeah.
But, Oklahoma is going to be right there.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about that. And, Sark has said that multiple times down in Austin, that it all begins on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
All your offense, he calls them big humans.
Yeah.
That's
right.
So you need the big humans on the offensive line and the defensive line.
Yeah.
But again, that goes back to what Brian Kelly said, because look how many times, look what happened to OU last year. They scored a bunch of points. They still lost. Texas scores a bunch of points. Lost to OU.
Yeah.
So, that's the way it goes.
Oh,
and so yeah, I thought he was very interesting. I thought it was interesting that we have folks. We had a guy from Ireland,
Yeah.
that's covering college football from Ireland. He's going to win the award. We'll have to get him like a Bucky's hat,
yeah,
or some kind of.
We'll have to get him on the show tomorrow, maybe.
Right? Yes.
Is he down there? What's he from? The Dublin Herald?
Oh yes. But yeah, not Dublin, Texas.
Yeah.
But anyway,
right.
we need to get him a Bucky's hat or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
Because he asked Brian Kelly, and I thought it was a great question. With his background at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame going over to play in Dublin. Hey, can we maybe get LSU to come over? And Brian Kelly was all for it. He goes, hey, as a Roman Catholic, as I thought that was an interesting way to spin it.
Great.
Hey, great. And he knew the names of the pubs over there that he wants to go to. Already.
Go to Trinity University, see the Book of Kells, the Irish names, heraldic scroll of Irish names. Look, college football in Europe is big. It's really big.
I'm surprised Texas hasn't. This is coming. I'm sure Texas is going to play in Mexico one day.
Yeah, Mexico City. I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah. High school football is big in Mexico City, and it's big in Mexico. And I mean, the Longhorn Network has a Spanish version and they have English version.
Yes.
People don't talk about that. I don't know about the Aggies, but they damn sure do it at Texas. So this is big. All right, let's flip to South Carolina, and we're going to be joined by Bo Carter here in a minute. And then I'm going to get Oakley to get his take, because I want to get the veteran correspondents like all of us and find out too, the next generation of people coming up. The SEC, it does mean more. It's real personal. So you had South Carolina coming up here. Shane Beamer gets up there today. That's a guy. I mean, you talk about, the hot seat's an overused term. How long do you give somebody to build a program? There's an old saying in the country, if a dog will bite, he'll do it when he's a pup. This is year 4, 5 for Shane Beamer. He's got a quarterback. He's got Robbie Ashford, who, look, that guy was at Auburn last year.
Right.
He's a good athlete. Personally, I think he ought to be a slot receiver. Yeah. I think that's where he would be a much more effective player.
Basically, they don't have a quarterback right now.
Yeah, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Right.
Let's talk. What was the takeaway from what you heard from Shane Beamer? Who doesn't like him? He's the son of a legend, Virginia Tech coach, Frank Beamer. Everybody loves Shane Beamer, but it gets down to wins and losses.
Right. Well, and look at what he said. Again, I was very interested in this. He said that South Carolina has led the SEC in takeaways since 2022, and some other big stat he gave on the defensive side of the ball since 2020.
Yeah.
So they've been playing the great defense. Yeah. But even last year with Spencer Rattler, who's now at the Saints, and apparently doing a really good job, according to Coach Beamer. They went 5-7. And 3-5 in the SEC. Yeah. That doesn't cut it, that, especially not for South Carolina. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that he kind of came out, in my opinion, a little bit pessimistic and acknowledging that there was this kind of pessimistic noise with South Carolina. He goes, I know all you media guys are going to pick us 14th or 15th or something like that.
Somebody's got to be there.
But we think we're going to be better than that.
Yeah.
So, South Carolina plays Oklahoma in South Carolina. So that's going to be another one of those games.
Yeah. And Shane Beamer was at Oklahoma.
Right.
That's why he had that relationship with Spencer Rattler when he got him to come down there and be his quarterback.
Well, that's going to be that's just another great story. I mean, journalists like all of us, we just love stories like that.
Oh, yeah.
Shane Beamer is going to be, he's playing his old team where he was so successful. Yeah. And now that could be a make or break game for both teams. Yeah. Because they're both kind of in the same. Yeah. Because Jackson Arnold is a great quarterback for OU. Yeah. But he's a true freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman.
But he played some last year.
A little bit.
Isn't he the highest rated offensive recruit in Oklahoma history?
That'd be a good question.
I think he is.
Because I think of all the people that played. Oklahoma.
There's been
Adrian
a lot.
Peterson, all those guys.
Adrian Peterson from Palestine, Texas.
Right.
Yeah. And Billy Sims from Hooks, Texas.
Thank you.
What great Oklahoma player hasn't come from Texas, by the way? Bit of trivia here. Does anyone? Anyone?
Bueller,
Anyone?
Bueller.
I mean, Think about
Tell
it.
us on the screen if you can think of any.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Spencer
Jack
Rattler was from Arizona.
You know, Jack
Yeah.
Mildren. Jack Mildren,
Yep.
who's the big quarterback.
Yeah.
He's from Texas.
Yeah. Well, the state of Texas, I remember in watching, Brian Bosworth is from Texas.
Yep.
Jackie Sherrill was on the show about a month ago, and he said, remind me one time to tell you the story about how we almost had Brian Bosworth and Barry Switzer took him away from me. And I said, and Coach, I hope you're watching because we're going to get you back on again in a couple of weeks. Get Barry Switzer and you on the show together. That will be a lot of fun.
Well, you know what?
That'll be fun.
I was thinking this morning. You know, Switzer lives here in the Dallas area
Okay.
in the Metroplex.
The Metroplex.
That's all.
You're correct, sir.
We have to use that word at least once on
Yes.
Rob's show.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know how much you love it coming
I
from
love
Memphis.
the Plex, yes.
But you know, he lives around here.
Well, Houston Nutt lives in McKinney, Texas.
Right, which is right up the road.
They all want to come to Texas.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see Barry Switzer walk down Radio Row the day that Oklahoma's here and everybody just go nuts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Bo?
Oh, yeah.
I would.
Had a breakfast in Tulsa when they when they joined the Big 12, the day of the Big 12 joined.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love it.
I would have loved to have gone to that.
Look, the thing is, everybody, we've grown up with Oklahoma and Texas.
Yep.
And, what I want to know is Big Tex, what does Big Tex think about this? Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Texas State Fair.
Well, and you know that the city of Dallas just passed this year yet another bond referendum to even, trick out the Cotton Bowl even more because, that's where it needs to be played. With all due respect to Jerry World, it needs to be played out there where it's been played forever,
Yeah.
And so I
agree with you.
I hope it stays out there.
I agree with you. Now, you look at other rivalries, the Iron Bowl in Birmingham,
right?
It was supposed to be neutral. I remember Pat Dye saying, well, it'd be one thing to be neutral, but Alabama folks parking the cars and wearing an Alabama hat, telling you a hot dog wearing an Alabama hat. And he goes, I don't think that's really neutral. and Coach Dye one time said, if you're playing Alabama at Legion Field and it's 4th and 1, you better get 3.
That's right.
It was neutral. I just got to say that. All right, let's do this. Ken, I'm going to bring you back in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to bring in Oakley real quick and then go to Bo because I want to get you're a treasure because you appreciate and you respect this. You knew Darrell Royal.
Yes,
you can't get enough of this stuff. There's 3 things that we focus on. I've told Oakley this, and he is going to be interning with us. He'll be a freshman at Auburn this fall.
Right.
Loves the thing. It's history, traditions, and heroes.
Amen.
The more you know about the game, which started, November 6th, 1869. My dad was there. In the stands.
Bo was there.
Yeah, Bo was there. But
Bo was selling popcorn.
Hey, let me say, Rutgers 6, Princeton 4. And if I'm not mistaken, there were 25 guys on each team, 50 guys on the field. A rugby scrum. So, hey.
4 years after Gettysburg.
Yeah, 4 years. 4 years. I bet there were a lot of guys that fought in the war. So, all right, come back in a minute. I'm going to get Oakley McFerrin on here, and then we're going to go to Bo. And we'll do this. But
because, hey, I talked to the John Kincaid, the head of officiating for the SEC.
Yeah.
And I've already got the horns down. How they're going to rule on it?
Yeah, what is okay? We're going to get to that after. All right. I want to talk about that. That's going to be funny. All right, we're going to bring in Oakley McFerrin. Oakley, look, let's do this. We just talked to Ken Capps. Your generation. You're 18, and people say, well, the kids today, they are not going to go stay at the games if they can't have good Wi-Fi. And just as a side note, a lot of universities, and Ken and Bo will back me up, and so will Brenden, have put $5 or $10 million into Wi-Fi upgrades to keep you at the games. I know when I was in school, we were worried about running out of whiskey. So I'm being honest. And I had the binoculars, which are a pair of binoculars, which were 2 8-ounce flasks.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I still have them, by the way. But I got to ask you, you love the games. You go to a lot of games. You're a Steeler fan, but you've been an Auburn fan a long time. But your generation, you watch ESPN Game Day. You love Pat McAfee. Why?
Pat McAfee, he just brings a different energy.
Yeah.
Compared to especially for our age, our generation, we don't want to see the boring straight line people.
Yeah.
Like Pat McAfee says it how it is.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like a lot of our generation likes like Nick Saban.
Yeah.
He brings the energy. He tells how it is. Pat McAfee's not too censored.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you never know what you're going to get every time you tune it on.
Yeah.
Same with like Stephen A. Smith's gotten big.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what he's going to say.
Stephen A. Smith, the only problem is he's got such a soft voice. I just can't hear him. But I'll say this about, like you say, it's kind of a diametrically opposing point of view. You've got McAfee, you got Nick Saban, but the Sabanator at 72 is as energetic as a lot of 30-year-olds. He's passionate. He's still going to be that voice of reason. You've seen him out here today on the set of SEC Network, him and Laura Rutledge this morning, and people talk about he'll influence the game. No doubt. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
He's always going to influence the game. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. He's Alabama's coach, but now he's going to be talking, I think he picked to play in the SEC championship, gentlemen, Georgia and Texas. He didn't pick Alabama, but he'll still be able to go back to Tuscaloosa, won't he?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's in an analyst role. He's getting paid $500,000 a year.
He needs the money.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got to make it, man. But all right, so give me your thought. I'm going to ask you this. You break the Buddy Martin show was on our network at nights, and Gatorade Media. He did on Friday's show 4 quadrants. He had his top 4 teams. He thinks they'll win between 10 and 12 games. Give me your top 4. I'm not going to go past that, but top 4 in the SEC based on everything you know at this moment.
Yes, sir. My top 4 would be, I got Georgia at number 1, Texas at number 2,
Okay.
Ole Miss number 3, Bama number 4.
Okay. All right. Quarterback room at Texas. You got Quinn Ewers. I think, and I've got Mr. Longhorn over here, I think he's missed 5 games the last 2 years due to injuries. There's this Manning guy there, Arch. And, Quinn is very competitive. South Lake, West Carroll, where did he play? South Lake Carroll. I got it all right. South Lake Carroll. So you think about this. Quinn, you played high school football at NBA. How competitive and how good is it to have someone like Arch breathing down your back? I think it does nothing but make you better. There's no easy days.
Yeah. There's nothing better for any player than competition. Yeah. Because you can't take a day off. You can't get lackadaisical, because if he goes out there and he loses 2 games early, people are going to be calling for Arch. Yeah. The old saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. There's clearly a number 1 at Texas, Quinn Ewers. Okay. You think about this. Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River rivalry at the Cotton Bowl. The Texas State Fair, it lasts for 3 months or something like that. It's a big deal. Howdy, folks. Big Tex here. I'm a 70-foot cow. But they fry Twinkies. What do they not fry at the Texas State Fair? Leather. Well, that's a good idea. They could do that. Fried leather. Okay. You think about these new rivalries coming in. Just here you are. You'll be a freshman in college. You're going to think about Georgia going to Austin, Texas. Alabama going to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma coming to Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's not going to be a night game. It's probably going to be 2:30. But you think that's going to dampen the enthusiasm of those folks at Jordan-Hare? Yes, sir.
Having Oklahoma come in.
When you haven't had somebody since, I don't even know, over half a century maybe in Jordan-Hare, I mean, everyone's going to be amped up for that. We played them in the Sugar Bowl a few years back. They got the best of us.
Yeah, they did.
But,
twice.
Yes.
Yeah, 1971 as well. It was a terrible day.
Yes, sir. But I think it'll just be a different feel. Yeah. Because Oklahoma's an historic program.
Oh, gosh.
So it's same with Texas.
Yeah. So you have followed, even though you're 18, that Oklahoma brand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. This is the thing is history, traditions, heroes. Can't say it enough. If you're looking at Florida at Texas, November 9th, you're talking the number 1, California, but most of these California kids now are coming to the SEC. Yeah. But you think about the state of Texas, puts out 400 plus Division I players a year. Florida, 373. California, like 382. Florida and Texas, think about that. They don't even play each other, November 9th. You can't even, on a typical Saturday, you're still going to go to the games. But is this the best you've ever seen it for couch potatoes?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of new games of teams you have never seen play before, especially for the younger guys.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be sitting down every Saturday, turning into even if it's let's say Oklahoma, Missouri. Like I haven't watched that because they left the Big 12 before I was.
They played each other probably 80 or 90 times.
Huge rivals.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also with teams playing each other more in like the SEC, like we lost Auburn Florida rivalry. We'll get to see that every 2 years.
At least twice every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it'll bring back a lot of rivalries that people really enjoyed.
I got one for you. Now these fan bases love one another. They're very close. It'll be a kumbaya moment in late November. In late November, Texas will travel to College Station, and they will be greeted with open arms. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I mean, you think,
And middle fingers.
Yes, and I'm thinking there'll be 500,000 people at the game.
Yes,
Texas and Texas A&M. Your generation, we always hear, and I heard it, y'all heard it, we all hear it. Oh, y'all don't know what you're doing. We had it the best of ever. How much do you love college football?
I mean, I love it. The main things I do love about it is all the rivalries, the passion. That's what they have over NFL.
Yeah.
It's way more passionate.
Yeah.
You live and die by your college team.
Yeah.
Every Saturday, that's what you're doing. You're watching college football.
Yep.
It's just the care for the game.
Yeah. I like the college team. It's like saying the kids are ugly.
Exactly. Those are fighting words.
Yeah. And it's about the laundry, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's about it. Okay. And one more thing before we go. You see what's happening about all these conferences changing and everything like that. If you could stop one thing from happening, what would it be? You don't want to see the ACC. You don't want to see the Big 12 implode. And to avoid that, what would you do? What can we do? Because to save the future of college football and all these sports, what do you think we need to be doing?
I think the one thing that I'm worried about happening is it turning into AFC, NFC with the Big Ten and the SEC. And I like the conference structure.
Yeah.
So I think, I guess putting more money, building more money for like the Big 12 to stay alive.
Yeah.
Especially with losing Texas and OU, like that's going to be hard. Maybe we might have to sacrifice one of the ACC or Big 12 and then combine. Then you have enough brand names to stay alive.
Yeah.
We're going to need some group of 5 teams to come up. Like a Houston, maybe. Or they're already in. But Memphis, yeah.
Boise.
Like, to come up. Boise State. Could be
Liberty.
one. Yeah. Schools that have, like Liberty has the money. Like,
years ago, Florida State was a women's college. And, Burt Reynolds, famous actor, played there after the Korean War. And Bobby Bowden was hired there in 1976. They were so bad, if their games were on TV, it would say viewer discretion advised. And 4 years later, they were 11-0 playing Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. That's the last time I've seen a 2-quarterback system since Florida did it in 06 with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. In 79, they had Wally Woodham and Jimmy Jordan from Tallahassee, Leon High School. But I think if you're hearing now Clemson and FSU maybe to the Big 12, y'all are out here in Texas. I don't want to see the ACC go away, but man, the money in Texas, it's like that Ross Perot, that giant sucking sound you hear, it's pulling all these teams out here. But I'm with you. I think we're going to go toward a national championship playoff for the Power Four and then the Group of 5. And as Jackie Sherrill said on our show a couple of months ago, it's going to be every damn bit as important to them. So, okay. All right. Let me bring in Bo Carter. Like that perspective from Oakley McFerrin. You'll be hearing a lot out of him. Be a freshman down at Auburn. Bo's going to come over here right now. And Bo, look, Bo Carter, former sports information director at Mississippi State University, was in the Southwest Conference office, the Big 12 office. Unbelievable credentials. That's why I have him and Ken on here, and they're on sidelines. Y'all have seen them plenty of times. But you watch these guys in there. They know everybody, but everybody, they don't have to. Everybody wants to come up and talk to them. Bo, we talked a little about Sankey's opening remarks. We talked about Brian Kelly, LSU. Talked about Shane Beamer. Also had Lane Kiffin up there. Lane Kiffin, want to say, man, his father, Monty Kiffin, what a coach, just a badass. The Tampa, the cover two, the full Monty. I mean, he probably didn't get the full credit for it, but Lane Kiffin has kind of grown up in front of a lot of people's eyes. Y'all have watched him. We've all watched him. I live in Memphis. I got a lot of Tennessee friends. They've never forgiven him for the year he spent there. And I'm like, look, Southern Cal, opportunity. He did what he did, but I think he's really figured it out. His comments, he always says things that catch people's attention. But he brought in Jackson Dart, his quarterback. Let's talk about Ole Miss. Last year, for the first time in school history, they won 11 games. They've got a proud past, 6 SEC championships, 3 national championships. There's more expectations than I can ever remember at Ole Miss. Talk about your thoughts.
Oh, sure. Archie and Eli Manning just touched 2 right off the top. Jake Gibbs.
Yeah.
Ken and I remember. Former catcher with the New York.
Yeah.
The other funny thing, Rob, you and I talked about this one time. How would you like to have been on the first coaches meeting with in the SEC with Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, and the late, great Mike Leach?
Yeah.
Saban just asked me, what in the world are these idiots doing there?
That would have been fun. Yeah.
They actually became, it's funny they all became close friends.
Yeah.
Saban was really comforting to Leach's family after he passed away. Interesting egos there.
Well, and you think about Lane Kiffin and his relationship with Nick Saban. I think the best thing that ever happened to Lane Kiffin was to go work on the staff with Nick Saban for 3 years. And I think I've been told by someone that knows this, that toward the end of Nick Saban's career, a lot of the coaches would be sitting there like this. They didn't want to say anything because he's Nick Saban. He's the GOAT. And Nick Saban was the one guy who got up and said, if we don't change our offense, we're going to get left behind. He got Nick Saban to evolve. And Nick Saban decides to retire after last season. But Nick Saban, you think about Lane Kiffin. This year, last year you won 11 games. You went 11-2. Whipped Penn State over in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl. This year, does it have to be playoff or bust? Or as long as they're in that conversation, they're going in the right direction?
I think so. I mean, they winning 11 games last year sort of really raised his performance level or whatever, raised his standing at Ole Miss. And, the coaches have all come. You got Texas, Oklahoma coming in, whether you play both of them or not.
Yeah.
The whole level of the league is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to, if you're, somebody made this point. One of the coaches said, "Okay, Ole Miss is probably 4th or 5th in the SEC right now, but you've got to overcome 2 traditional powers."
Yeah.
Even though
that was a good question.
Schedule.
Yes.
So I mean, it's the competition's got so much tougher. It's going to be really. I mean, especially like a Vanderbilt or South Carolina, Mississippi State. Gosh, they got to raise the level like 100% just to be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and you got 16 schools in here. Everybody's going to be playing everybody at least twice in every 4 years. Mm-hmm. What was going on in the SEC with 14 teams is you had, because of the virus in 2020, you had, I think, Georgia finally went to Texas A&M, and that a conference only works if there's constant interaction among the fan bases, doesn't it?
Exactly. And y'all remember Alabama and Georgia only played each other every 8 years or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Auburn had to play Georgia every year.
Back to back, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Nothing to see here. Yeah.
No, and really, it was the schedule had been skewed for years and years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing in 2020, everybody, I guess they drew lots or something. Everybody wanted Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time in Vanderbilt history they've ever gone 0-10, they've always had a Chattanooga or a Sunbelt or somebody win a game.
Well, and you look at, and we're going to talk about Vandy in a second, but back with Ole Miss, you think about the talent that they've got. They got Walker Howard in the quarterback room. They brought in Spencer Sanders last year from Oklahoma State. I think he got $300,000 in NIL money, stuck around for the spring, and his pillow wasn't soft enough, and he left. I don't know where he is. Anyone seen Spencer Sanders side of a milk carton? I don't know where he is. Spencer, where are you, son? Andre! Yeah. So let's think about this. The Rebels this year, they don't play Auburn. They don't play Alabama. All right. And they've got Georgia at home in the Vault this year, Vaught Hemingway Stadium. What will the Ole Miss people do? Someone asked this question to Jackson Dart, Ole Miss's quarterback out of Utah, and said, he goes, I don't think Ole Miss. I don't know if they can handle it. He goes, the town might explode. I mean, they have 100,000 people there in late April for the Double Decker Festival.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been around in sports, information. You know everybody. Expectations. Once your mind goes from here up to here, it never reverts back here. I mean, if you've eaten at the best steakhouse in town, CK's coffee shop is just not going to cut it anymore. The shoe leather, with the side of potatoes. Talk about that.
I figured for this. Well, it's a little off topic for this game. Remember the man?
Feel free to wander around aimlessly. Unfasten your seatbelt lights are on. Smoke cigarettes, cigars, whatever. Okay.
This is the key to the Ole Miss Georgia game. The Mannings have the Manning family has like a second-story apartment
in Oxford.
In Oxford with like a thing. They come out sometimes before the game and do the papal blessing. The Pope Archie and I come and
Howdy. Gosh almighty.
I'm sorry to be sacrilegious.
No, it's funny.
But I mean, when the Mannings come out and give their blessings to Ole Miss before the game, they'll no, but he's right. I mean, there'll be people we haven't stayed in hotels in Nashville and Memphis and Columbus, Mississippi.
It will be absolute insanity with them. And I want to talk about Vanderbilt. Clark Lee, he's a very smart coach. Went to MBA. Where Oakley went, the gentleman scholars they called him, but Clark and Barton Simmons, and Barton went to Yale, was an all Ivy League safety. They're trying to do a new way of recruiting at Vanderbilt. You're a Vanderbilt alum. A lot of my family's Vanderbilt graduates. They've got $12 billion in their endowment. Ronald Reagan asked Mikhail Gorbachev in November of 1987 in Reykjavik, Iceland. No. He asked him at another place, Mr. Gorbachev in Berlin, tear down this wall. I say, if I'm Clark Lee, Candace Lee, and the Vanderbilt administration, open up this bank vault and help the doors. I mean, look, there's so many people in Nashville. There's a lot of money in Nashville. It's a very popular place for people to go. Now, what's going to be cool is the battle of the music cities. Austin versus Nashville. Who is the king of country music? Now, we know who the king of country music is. Bob Wills is still the king. It's undeniably, but it's a fact. Okay. But you think about Austin, keep it weird. Okay. You think about Austin city limits and you think about the Grand Ole Opry, the Ryman Auditorium. Vanderbilt has an opportunity now to jack up raise the standard. Will they do it? They've got 35 or 40 really, really wealthy boosters. Why not go and ask them and say, we need all the help we can get?
Well, two things. The chancellor of Vanderbilt is a former Stanford Northwest, Dr. Daniel. He's from Berlin, Germany, of all things.
Well, tear down the wall.
He has become a
He should know.
He likes football and American soccer.
Yes.
He's really, really.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
That's right. He loves football. He's big enthusiast about athletics.
Yeah.
I mean, he helped Northwestern's gone down since he's left. I mean, he was one of the vice chancellor there
with Pat Fitzgerald when he was the coach there.
And he's dedicated.
Wow.
The one thing they've got to get past, they've got a $3.5 billion building program. Remember, Coach Lee was talking about you wouldn't recognize the campus. They torn down both dorms I lived in 50 years ago, unfortunately. And we put your hand over your heart. I know they were probably
they were Adobe huts.
They should have been torn down 25 years ago. But no.
Well, it was like Magnolia Hall at Auburn. It was condemned, but kept open for 30 years.
Oh, yeah. We had no air conditioning in our dorm in 1970.
That would be tough.
Chancellor Dearmeyer and Candace Lee are both both PhD people. They're dedicated to doing this thing. Once they get the building program, which is like 80% completed now, and it's a tough deal. Like you were saying, Vanderbilt's got really good money people behind them.
Yeah.
But do you put the money into the Rob Browne chemistry building, or do you put it in the NIL? That's the big deal. And
the Rob Browne NIL chemistry building.
That's right.
There we go.
When former SEC Commissioner Roy Kramer came in the late 70s,
they
had a taboo list. Ken's probably aware of this too. You could not approach life and casualty insurance or First Bank Nashville. These were only available to the development office.
Woo!
And then Kramer said, "I'm going to quit if I can't go over there and visit the president of
Yeah.
Life and Casualty and say, hey, I'd like to get $50,000 to build a new baseball stadium."
Absolutely.
And they opened up a little bit. They just really need to open it a lot more now.
Yeah. Well, the people in Nashville, somebody told me today, you look at First Bank Field, it's 41,000. They're doing a retrofit on there. We were up there last year, November 4th, for the Auburn game, and it took about 45 minutes to get out. My wife called it a Skinner box after the animal behavioral psychiatrist, the BF Skinner. And it took like in and out, like a maze. I felt like Maisie the Mouse. But Nashville, what about going down the street, go down Broadway to the football stadium, Nissan Stadium? I mean, the people in Nashville, they're getting a lot of people from all over the place coming there. This is an opportunity for Vanderbilt to appeal to a lot of new people. Do you think the athletic director, Candace Lee, is listening to these pleas? You think Clark Lee going, look, I'm working harder than a dozen Mennonite farmers. Help me out. You think she's listening to him or going, we'll get to you?
They've got a lot better community outreach than they had 10, 15 years ago. They used to really, I'm trying to think of a school that maybe Notre Dame's always had the subway. They have millions of alumni.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the Ivy League schools, okay, we're just going to, pay attention to our alumni and maybe a few local.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nashville, the place is wide open right now. And traditionally, Nashville's been like 75% Tennessee graduates or fans. I mean, you can play a Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, they played at Nissan Stadium with like 80% Tennessee fans for a Vanderbilt home.
If I'm the athletic director at Vanderbilt, I'm going, let's make Nashville ours.
Yep.
And you look what Tim Corbin's done with baseball there. Yeah. He said, if I can get all the good players within 250 miles, I can build a national powerhouse. And if you look at the win-loss total for baseball at Vanderbilt over the last decade, they've got to be one of the top 2 or 3 programs in the country, a couple of national championships, a couple of runner-up finishes. But I don't know, just the whole day, I think we'll wrap it up here in a second. The whole day, what I've seen is that there's a lot of interest. There's over 1,200 media people here in Dallas at Media Days. I think it's the largest contingent that we've ever seen of people. And Texas hadn't even showed up yet. Alabama, Texas A&M, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma. My God, it does mean more. And do you think along the line of what Ken said a minute ago, and I want Ken to come back on for a couple more questions, do you think that the Texas people are going to learn how to get wild? Remember Yortuk and Yordanovich, the 2 wild and crazy guys on Saturday Night Live, Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin? We are 2 wild and crazy guys. Okay, do you think Texas is going to start like fans showing up naked and stuff like they do at LSU games with horns on their heads and just craziness? The Hog fans have got it down to a science. Hog hat. It's like, you're driving in a car with the windows up by yourself wearing one of those hats. The cops might pull you over. You say, "You okay?"
When you come to Austin, you got to go to 6th Street, and you'll see every strange person that's ever.
I've been there.
People that have smoked stuff and taken different injections, different stuff in their veins that are. It's the wild. They used to have they had the Wild Bunch at Texas baseball for years and years, and they
look,
they
keep it weird. Yeah, but you think Texas is ready?
I think so. Yeah, I mean it's good to take a look. I mean, you look at the bowl games Texas played in. And even the Big 12 kind of prepared Texas for this a little bit because you had Nebraska and Oklahoma really hated they blamed Texas for the demise of the Big 8.
Oh, yeah.
And there was always, Ken's heard this before too, the Big 8 took over the Big 12. It was really a merger because the Big 8 had lost its television contract. And really no major TV market. So the 4 teams from Texas saved them more or less. So they'll be, you go back to the 96 Big 12 championship game, Texas, Nebraska.
Yep.
I mean, there weren't a lot of there were 75-80% Nebraska fans, but the Texas people were going crazy when they pulled off the upset. So they'll rise to the occasion. I got a feeling.
All right, I'll do it. Bo, we'll get you back on tomorrow. Sure. Thank you, man. And Ken, a couple more questions real quick, and then we'll wrap it up here. We're going to go like less than 5 minutes.
I did a little research.
Okay.
While Bo was pontificating here. So Oklahoma's schedule this year.
Okay.
Their road schedule.
All right.
At Tennessee. At Ole Miss.
Wait, Oklahoma plays Tennessee in Norman.
I just looked
Yeah.
in the magazine.
Yeah, no, Tennessee goes to Norman
Okay.
September 21st.
Okay.
Josh Heupel goes home.
Okay, that's right. How did I get that? Sorry about that.
Yeah,
At Ole Miss,
yeah,
at Missouri,
yeah,
at LSU.
yeah. You got it right. That's a brutal schedule.
I mean, that is a brutal schedule.
Just the road schedule is tougher than most teams' schedule for the entire season.
Right. And, even though Texas and Oklahoma and the Big 12, somebody would rise up and bite you every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
They're a good one. Baylor every once in a while. But, that's not the caliber of play that's in the SEC. And, you're going to have to get used to playing a great team all the time. However, let me say this. I remember the good old days.
Yeah.
I remember the good old days when after the Oklahoma game, this when I was in school, after the Oklahoma game, you know what our next game was on the schedule every year? Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was,
you come off the Oklahoma game, you're just beat to hell, and you have to go play Arkansas.
Yeah.
And maybe up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can assure you the Arkansas fans are salivating.
Oh, I know.
Drooling over the prospects of playing Texas and Oklahoma. Even though they share a common border, they've only played Oklahoma 15 times.
Right. And Texas will be looking forward to that. Texas goes to Arkansas this year. And, of course, Arkansas drilled Texas in Sark's first
2021,
year.
Yeah. Yeah, that big game up there on the Saturday night. And you think about this, Oklahoma, the Gaylord family, Gaylord Family Stadium. T. Boone Pickens put $350 million into Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Ironically, he started his career at Texas A&M in like oil or petroleum engineering, transferred to Oklahoma State. God only knows what his estate has left to Oklahoma State. They're not going to be in the SEC, but Arkansas's got to play them in the second game.
Yes, yeah.
And that's going to be a big game.
Yes.
Tomorrow, man, on the schedule, we got coming in Tennessee. We'll be talking. It's every day. There's no easy days in this thing. But what are you looking for the rest of the week? When Texas comes in here and Oklahoma and Alabama and Georgia and Auburn and Florida and Mississippi State. Missouri. Missouri's tomorrow. Last question. Eli Drinkwitz.
Yes.
Guy's a hell of a coach. I asked him 2 years ago in Atlanta, what if you could tap into that St. Louis Cardinal nation passion and bring that over to Columbia? He said, great question. He goes, man, I'd love to do it. If they keep winning like that, isn't it just a matter of time before Mizzou becomes crazy you? I could see that happen.
Well, and here's the other thing. It just goes to show you the impact of Texas and Oklahoma already on the SEC. Ryan Wingo, who is one of the top wide receivers coming up out of Missouri.
Yeah.
And he was, it was between Texas and Missouri.
Yeah.
And much to the chagrin of my Missouri fans, my Missouri friends and fans, who are also big journalism guys, got a big journalism school there in Missouri. He came to Texas, and he might end up actually starting for Texas this year, next year as a true freshman.
Yeah.
So the recruiting is going to be outrageous. But here's the one thing that struck me, and I know we're short of time.
Yeah.
Did you realize that every coach today, and I bet it's going to be like this the rest of the week, was asked about Texas and Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Did y'all notice that?
Yeah. Everybody.
I bet they're like, damn it, I want to talk about my team.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was. And you knew that was coming. But the leadoff question this morning was, why did we come to Dallas?
That was just a dumb question.
I think I'm giving that's my Darwin Award.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
why do you think you're just bringing them into the conference?
But that just what I was waiting for somebody. The thing about all four coaches today, they were all great sports about it.
Yeah, they were.
But I was just waiting for somebody to get snarky,
to blow a gasket,
and just say, "Look, I'm here to talk about my team. I'm not here to talk about Longhorns and Sooners."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if this happens. We'll have to watch that this whole week and see if anybody bucks that question.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to be asked.
They're 4-0 now, and we've got 10 of the next 12 schools are not going to be Texas and OU. But yeah, that's a very good question. Hey, We will be back on tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central. Quick little 5-minute preview of the coming day. Switching the times around. The rest of the week, be on in the afternoons. Okay. Again tomorrow and again Wednesday. We'll keep you posted every day. But there's so much going on. We got to be downstairs. But look, we live in the greatest country in the history of the world. Go out and do great things. Smash that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. From Dallas.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shoppe health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children